Okay, I'd like to welcome those visiting us live streaming this morning. I would like to call the Executive Committee meeting to order and ask anybody to disclose pecuniary interest either now or if it rises down the agenda. Hearing none, action, I guess not action items, more information items. First up this morning, 2017 Bruce County Business Plan, the CAO's department. Kelly.
Through you, Mr. Warden, just before we begin, I would like to take a moment and just commend the Bruce County Paramedic Services and the work that they have done. We were a little bit delayed starting this morning because they had their service review for the last few days, and the outgoing interview was this morning. Overall, the ministry are very, very pleased. A few observations, but Charlie's team and in particular Ray and Steve as the two chiefs deserve a great deal of accolades because it was a terrific review, and as well the shift superintendents too were in attendance for the interview, and it was really well done. So.
Excellent.
And with that, if I'll go right into the Q1 updates and just advise committee with your indulgence that after I do my review, then we'll have highways, so a little bit of a flip in the order, and then resume with normal order with myself being followed by corporate services, if that's okay, if you do want to hear from the Director of Highways. Yeah, yeah, okay. So with that, overall, again, it's the first quarter updates for all of the organization with the annual business plans. For the CAO's office, the key performance indicators, we have the four core indicators. We're on target for the total operating cost of governance, slightly beating our target of 1.6% at 1.58. And the total staffing for the governance section of our operations remains at 34. The percent of annual projects delivered on time and on budget, as well as the projects with goals for innovation and cost containment, currently are unavailable. The reason for the final KPI not being available is we're just in the process of reviewing a couple of the core projects that we'd like to bring back to committee for your consideration, so that number is in a little bit of a state of flux. And unless I hear or see questions, Mr. Warden, just proceed?
Yep, please.
Yeah? Okay. So for the core projects for the Chief Administrative Officer's area, the health and safety program and the enhancement of that program is on target. Both Director Nero and the health and safety manager, John Van Delden, have really done a lot of work with this initiative. We're well placed that will be, by the end of year, will be on target. The 150th celebration for Explorers of Bruce has really been progressing quite well. The program has been modified to include the Snowbirds initiative. You'll recall Mr. Englishman made a presentation, and committee suggested that it be included in the budget, so there's no change in our total cost. But what we've done is we've modified a couple of the initiatives to allow for that to occur. Our continuous improvement project is going well. The committee and council, you've now received the three outputs from the three cross-functional teams, and their work has been exceptional. Yesterday, by coincidence, I was in Chatham, Kent for a series of meetings, and I had a number of CAOs ask if we would share with them, in particular, the work that we've done on our procurement policy and our rental mileage and travel. So that was pretty exciting because I was there as a member of the group, not doing a presentation, but people do look at the work that we're doing and wish to replicate the good work, which is a tribute to the staff that led those and participated in those projects. The wellness program you reviewed and endorsed at the last meeting. It will come back in May for your final approval with the goal of rolling out that initiative. And then from there, in the third, fourth week of May, we will be launching the next 3 cross-functional teams. And those areas will be, in particular, starting with the core focus of continuous improvement with a goal toward cost containment. The second is advancing work with the values of Bruce County in conjunction with the work that the planning group are doing today for the definition of the Bruce lens. And then the third initiative will be, of course, stabilizing from the mental wellness program and the work that the Wellness Committee are advancing. And I should also talk about in that same grouping will be a communications group, but it will be a standing committee that will work on county communications and not a cross-functional team. The fourth project was the work that we've been doing with, in particular, the energy/nuclear portfolio. Yesterday was a very big day for Bruce County with the first ribbon cutting that occurred in the municipality of Kincardine. The next group will be Amick Foster Wheeler, and there are other initiatives and growth that are occurring. And by my definition at least, and I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb and suggest with Bruce Power as well, that this partnership has really advanced quickly, and we're very, very proud of all of the work that the staff are doing, and in particular Stelina Williams has really done exceptionally well. The fifth project is the compliments and concerns, and this will be part of the revamped website that you'll see at the beginning of June. And we're quite excited about it because we've focused on the compliments and concerns, compliments coming first, because quite often we do really good work, but we don't give an avenue for others to tell us that they appreciate the really good work that we're doing. Equally important, of course, is the concerns that we always want to improve and for you as the county council, and in particular the executive committee. I'm going to not talk very much about project number 6 because we've already covered it. And finally, project 7, there's the continuation of the Bruce brand and the definition of who we are as an organization, particularly the Explorer philosophy that the HR department had included in their 2017 budget, a university student who will come in and start to redraft a number of the policies to bring back to you in the fall of this year for your consideration. And with that, Mr. Warden, I can answer any questions. Or
Thanks, Kelly. Any questions from the committee? Milts.
Kelly, on the nuclear one, do we have any idea the employment that would be created by the potential employment by this one here in particular, and then the next one as well?
Through you, Mr. Warden, on average, each individual corporation, we're seeing numbers in the neighborhood of 15 to 25 positions. And in defense of most of the organizations, they're a little bit hesitant to state a firm number because of the transition for setup, but that's our typical is between 15 and 25.
Mike?
Thanks, Mr. Warden. I'm go back to the number 3 on your enhance our continuous improvement, and you know, it goes hand in hand with, I think, was very successful with these cross-functional teams. But often, I mean, there's all kinds of business models, improvement models out there, and I just wonder what kind of template. Is it from loyalists? Do you have a template that you use to say, this is how we do this? Because there's some very good structures out there that will lead you to those. I know often when you pick one or two, there's implementation can be often difficult, but a question about how that will unfold.
Through you, Mr. Warden, the area that we're looking at to use as a model is the City of Burlington and what they refer to as their RBA program. And what that program does is it's a philosophy that is embedded in everything that they do and all the work that they do. So it starts with the strategic plan, and from there, every project, the focus on that project is what's the return on our business environment, business in terms of service environment. So are we streamlining how we deliver service? Are we reducing the fundamental cost structure? And ultimately, is this sustainable? Can we continue to duplicate it? The what I'll call complementary programs that we're right now reviewing are items such as those that have been in various business environments that are lean processes or Six Sigma processes to start to map out the value contribution of the work that we do.
Mike?
Yeah, just to find, there's all kinds of them out there, business improvement and quality improvement, loss control, those types of things. And the models are all pretty well the same if you see them overall. There's just, I suspect this will be the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none. Thank you, Kelly. Mr. Knox? Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Thank you, Mr. Warden.
Thank you.
We'll dive deep.
Yes, we will.
KPIs, CAO Kelly and I talked about KPIs, and it would appear that we've selected KPIs that are very descriptive to our department, yet possibly not very timely for a presentation. So we're going to consider other possible KPIs, and we're struggling a bit, but we need to give that more thought for future KPIs. A lot of them have great meaning, but they're, I see no point in contradicting, I think our FIR, our financial information return that's coming out shortly. They were embedded in FIR years ago. Some of them have been rounded out by FIR, but they calculated from FIR. So actually, we hope on second quarter report, we can identify those FIR results. I am able to say that with great confidence that the result for the tonnage of MHSW for 2016 is indeed 135 ton. Moving ahead to major initiatives. There we are. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our first initiative was investigating the activities undertaken by the department, and then naturally ensuring that the organizational structure accommodated those activities. And again, I think we've all heard about our discussion on construction. We're recently at a training session with half of our advisory committee concerning construction regulations, and it's kind of enforced again that we are a bit unusual in doing our own construction. So out of a definition of activity, comes organizational structure. Environmental assessment for the West Road. We are hoping to move ahead with having public meetings this summer. And again, the public meetings this summer will dwell on the variety of solutions by area of road section, and perhaps identify what's preferred conceptually. But this isn't going to have rigor and detail and whatnot with it, but it's going to be conceptual to test that with the community. Number 3, the paved road program. While it is only 6 words, it encompasses about 15 to 20 jobs, and it is an immense program, and you'll be seeing that next Thursday in Wyerton. We're going to go over it with the committee in Wyerton at our committee meeting next Thursday. The 4th item, the 4th initiative, is the replacement of the McCurdy Bridge. We had been optimistic, thinking we'd move ahead with it to tender it this spring. Unfortunately, the intended complication of species at risk causes us to hesitate and try and gather the permit from the federal government and the permit from the provincial government, and then hopefully equipped with them tender in October for a build in 2018, 2019. Mr. Warden, that was our report. The balance is sort of detailed based on those 4 items.
Thank you, Brian. Questions from committee? Janice?
Got to ask you a question, Brian. So the public meetings, will there be 2 perhaps, or what months are you thinking of holding those public meetings?
Yeah.
And where?
Unfortunately, again, the department's sort of recovering from a variety of things, and we're fortunate to move ahead with 2017 construction, which is dominating our capital efforts. And naturally, we have to get that done before we springboard into the West Road activities. So Martin, Kerry, and I need to move off of 2017 matters into 2018 and future and West Road matters. So I can't really give you a prognostication. Our hope is to do what we've done in the past, which is visit the 2 councils, and then after the 2 councils, go to the public in 2 venues, probably the North in Lions Head and probably in Wyerton, as we did beforehand.
In July or August?
Hopefully, yes. Yeah, summer.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Thank you, Brian.
Super.
Corporate services.
Thank you.
Corporate services is next. Betty Ann.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. We as well have a number of KPIs. So actually, just for your information, we have updated the 2016 because the 4th quarter and the final was submitted very quickly after year end, and it was the estimates to year end, so these have been updated for the actuals. In our 2017 Q1, you will see a spike in the average number of invoices processed weekly, and this is with our accounts payable, so a significant spike in the 1st quarter, which is not unusual as we process all of the year-end outstanding invoices for the 4th quarter of 2016. The other item that I wanted to bring to your attention was the website visits, and I know the first time that I introduced these KPIs, the question was asked, well, what does that really mean? So in subsequent presentations, I've provided you with the details that are related to those website visits. The 487, almost 500,000 websites in January, February, and March. So while we might think people aren't out and about in Bruce County, just shows that we are 4 seasons and that everyone is interested in what's happening in Bruce County even during that time. So you can see the county site, down over Q1 2016, but we've also identified with some of our latest analytics that our current website is really related to a lot of the weather generated hits and inquiries. So I think that's what we'll see, and as we launch our new website in Q2, we will see the change and a significant increase as we watch for the remaining quarters in 2017 as people want to know what's happening in Bruce County. Also, the Bruce County 150 website, I just wanted to bring that to your attention if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it. It's all the upcoming events and photos and that from what's happened. So just in our first quarter, almost 3,000 hits for that. The new museum photo site, and you can see the stats we had in 2016 when it was launched, and that already in the first quarter, almost 30,000 hits. So I would say that's a very popular and very successful website. Our new Business to Bruce, again, another website for you to check out, and certainly seeing some activity already, as we heard in our the update from our CAO, the successfulness of that program. The Explore the Bruce, the statistics, that is just representative of our transition and the pilot project undertaken by planning and development, and we certainly expect those numbers to return and increase as the year goes on, but we will certainly be monitoring those and watching them for to ensure success. And so total, that really is the area where we see the change in and the slight decrease in the first quarter. But as I said, I certainly expect we will see significant rise in the remaining quarters in 2017. Continue to have a number of web or help desk reported the email, so it just continues to show that there is certainly a lot of business that happens with the media with use of our media and our electronic communications. If there are any questions on the KPIs, otherwise I'll move into the major initiatives.
Questions? Nope.
So we have 5 major initiatives within corporate services, and the first is our continuing and developing and the operational and capital budgets and the forecasting and the salary planning modules. And as we've indicated in the update, the first quarter we've certainly been focusing on our 2016. We've moved our efforts to the certainly the 2017 ongoing maintenance of that budget, but now towards the 2018, the templates and transitioning those operational and capital templates so that the capital template will mirror a very similar document as the operational, and then bringing that forward in Q2 so that our directors and managers can begin the preparations for the 2018. The Integrated Energy Performance Project, you will see that not only on my business plan, but also the museum and long-term care, the ecosystems, energy services engaged, and we are moving forward with those projects. And the specific portion administration that I'm involved in through our department, but then specifically the Park Street share of and those capital projects have not begun yet at the Park Street. We've been in long-term care at this point, and we'll be providing you with a full update at the Corporate Services Committee May 4th meeting of the project as a whole. Web redevelopment, this is a joint effort, certainly led by the Branding and Imaging Group, and the web team continuing to work with them and being members of that Branding and Imaging Group and the sub-web committee. And the next steps, of course, include designing, the concept is finalized, and moving towards to a launch in Q2. Unified communications, this has been a somewhat long-standing initiative, and we certainly want to move forward in 2017 because we recognize the importance of leading and moving forward with our staff so that they can take advantage of the technologies that are available. We have a customer immersion experience we are planning, and to make that an interactive and customized, it's going to be an on-site at the administration center, and reaching out to also the Peninsula and the Lakeshore hubs to be able to allow everyone to be able to have an opportunity to experience that. I did want to include, though, the comments that we have not had any investment in our unified communications, our telephony for many, many years. And as we continue to go down this path, it is quite likely that an investment greater than our budget will be required, but we'll be certainly bringing forward business plan and recommendations for that in the upcoming months. SharePoint infrastructure, this is, of course, our choice of a tool for file management and collaboration, and we did prepare a working group that had reviewed it and made recommendations. We've acted upon those recommendations and engaged a Microsoft Gold certified partner and the collaborative work environment team, which includes a representative from each department, has participated in workshops. They're developing the workbooks to set us up for the next stage for the RFP. The consultants will be providing their recommendations. A tentative date has been set for May 5th with the team and, if available, the SMT, but more information will be going out to the SMT related to that. So we are looking forward to moving forward with that initiative, and believe that it will be a great success and certainly a very valuable tool for all staff. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Betty Ann. Betty Ann will sit down with you after. Do you want to sit down with Paul? He missed your presentation. Next up, HR. Marianne.
Thank you and good morning. So we have a few KPIs to report on. Our turnover rate continues to be challenging. It's a little bit lower, but we've seen some 18s in some of our long-term care areas. So we need to continue to work on what is driving that changeover and how we can be more attractive as an employer. So I think we're going to see that certainly built into our 2018 business plan in HR. Our full-time headcount is comparable to where we should be. We see a little bit of up and down, of course, because we just have our highways winter seasonal staff leaving us, and shortly our summer staff will be joining us. Our OSHA recordables, the number appears to be a little bit high. Embedded in that number are two transitional workers from 2016 that continued to transitional work in 2017. So the actual number of incidents for 2017 are 4. There were 2 in January, which one was a lost time for 2 days, 1 medical aid in February, and 1 medical aid in March. So the good news is we're not having serious incidents, but we continue to have incidents that we have to continue to investigate and see if we can continue our journey to 0 on that. So that other 2 people were the transitional workers. And our number of unionized staff remained about the same.
It doesn't let you use the arrow.
Yeah. Okay, so our first major initiative was building capacity, and as our CEO already spoke to, there's a lot of momentum happening on the health and safety portfolio, thanks to the good work of John Van Delden. And so he's going to continue our lockout takeout program, which was started last year, into Q4. So right now he's going out to hire a consultant so that we can get 1 building done as an example. Bruce Lee Haven has been doing their own lockout takeout takeout and is almost done, which is great news because it's one of our larger facilities. But we want to be able to build some in-house capacity where possible. So we're going to have a consultant come in, really lead the example on one building so we can continue to follow that type of example. We've also started undertaking some of the ergonomic assessments that we had said we would. How we're choosing which ones are selected is based on the risk, both in paramedics and long-term care. Those results are being rolled out and incorporated into the daily routines for staff. Under assistance development, we do have 2 HR staff members attending the branding, and they are serving as the HR leads. Our departmental program is well underway to rebrand both our internal and external documents. Our training databases, Avante, our job information questionnaires, job postings, offer letters, and ID card templates are all updated with the new branding, and we'll continue to keep that embedded on that project this year. Under Managed Workforce Risk, one of the large projects there is our job evaluation, which is being completed by an outside consultant, Gallagher and McDowell. So we have completed our job information questionnaires. They have been evaluated. And last week, McDowell met with staff to roll out in town hall meetings the results of that. And next week, we're holding the individual meetings with staff. So that project's well underway, and we see that coming back hopefully to council by June. And we are aligning our non-compensation practices, and we saw that report that came into HR committee last week to start with that as well. As we advance our HR programs, we do have an HR team member currently participating in the last cohort of Loyalist in number 5. The Bridges to Leadership has been launched, and there's ongoing support of our online Harvard program, which is a leadership program. We're also going to be doing a refresher at the upcoming leadership team meeting at the end of May. And that's where we're at.
Good. Thank you, Marianne. Questions, comments? Milt?
Just went back to this head count thing, Marianne. You're sick of hearing this maybe, but I noticed where the 7, 30, 40 has disappeared. And maybe we didn't go back far enough, I guess. And now we're kind of up to that. Because my question was in the past, what caused that spike, or how did that happen?
Oops, we're way past now.
You can look at it, Marianne, and get back to me if you like. That's fine.
I think if it's okay through the CAO, that maybe in the next HR committee we can come in with a detailed headcount report.
Yeah.
And then you can see where all the vacancies lie, and you can also see how we calculate the FTD, and I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's fine. Maybe it was 14 that had the lower number. I forget what it was. I have to go back.
Through you, Mr. Warden, we talked about this issue at the last senior management team in response to the concern that had been articulated at the end of the 2016 annual business plans. And what we thought we would bring back are 2 options for committee members to look at to see which you find preferable. The one would be taking out the seasonality positions so that they don't skew the results, because they come in and then they're gone, and then they come in and they're gone. But we'll give that to you as Director Nero says. And yeah.
This is good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Mike?
I'm just, I want to go back to your OSHA reportables there. Maybe I didn't understand it, where you're trying to, or you included a reportable that was in, or 2 that were in 2016 are now reported again in 2017. So is that just based on the 200,000 hours worked, or why would you report them twice? Because to me it looks like you're driving your number up then. Maybe I misunderstood, Marianne.
No, you did, through your warden. What happens is you have to count, when you're doing OSHA recordables, the number of modified or transitional work days. So because they were injured in 2016, they continued, 2 workers continued on transitional in 2017. So they're not newly injured, but they are still part of the OSHA recordable number.
Good, Mike? Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to get a cup of coffee when we're changing chairs here.
Well, yeah, I just, I guess we are, not unannounced. Yeah. Yeah. Kelly, while we're waiting, I have a question for Betty Ann that I was going to ask, and Betty Ann, it is in the Explore the Bruce website. So the first quarter of 16, we had 242, and the first quarter of 17, we had 92. Did you answer that, or?
I just identified that there was a drop in the Q1. I'm not in a position to really explain why that is. We just track the numbers, but we do expect that it is part of just with the transition with the pilot project with planning and development, and we would expect those numbers to return once that's stabilized.
Through you, Mr. Warden, certainly the pilot project with Touristtown has been rocky, and we're pretty confident that we've had impacts because of the launch, that it will ideally recover, but we will be watching it very, very closely.
Are we having a report next? Okay, good, thanks.
Okay, Charlie.
Good morning, everyone, through you, Mr. Warden. I'd like to report on the Q1 of the long-term care homes. As you can see from the report that's been submitted to you, we have 5 county-specific KPIs in the homes, and we have 11 Ministry of Health provincial KPIs, which I'll report on this morning. And collectively, I would like to say that as far as the 5 county-specific KPIs, we are all we're working within the benchmarking, and I think that we're in good shape for at the end of the first quarter in the homes. When we go to the KPIs for the before we leave that, one of the areas that I just want to highlight is it seems that we've had a real spike in the number of residents who are coming on our waiting lists. You can see there at the end of the first quarter, we're up to 76 on our waiting list. I think that's indicative of the need out there, and I just want to highlight it that the homes, I think, will be continuously challenged to well, we won't be challenged in regard to the number that's on our waiting list, but I'm concerned about the need that is evident in Grey and Bruce counties for the number of people needing long-term care. So I just want to highlight that. In regard to the 11 provincial KPIs from the Ministry of Health, you will note we don't have our headings showing up here, but anyway, this third from the left column really is our Q1 reporting, and the next one is our next to it is the provincial averages, and the 2 main areas in both homes with our KPIs that we're really having some real attention to are the first 2 provincial KPI indicators. And that being the area of the number of falls, recent falls that we're experiencing in the homes of residents, as well as worsening pressure ulcers. But those 2 areas are really getting the real attention of the homes, and we're hoping to come within the provincial benchmarking of that fairly soon. The remaining 9 KPIs, provincial KPIs, are mostly met at Gateway Haven, which is recorded there in the black. In the blue ink is Bruce Lee Haven's ratings, if you will, in comparator to the provincial KPIs. And for the most part, Gateway at the end of the first quarter is well within the benchmarking of the KPIs, provincial KPIs. Bruce Lee Haven, they're diligently working to bring their KPIs into line, and hopefully we'll see a real turnaround by the end of the third quarter for sure in those areas. In the homes, we have 5 major initiatives. And the first one being aligning both long-term care homes and their policies and management style and operating procedures. And at the end of the first quarter of 2017, a lot of significant work continues to happen between the 2 homes to ensure alignment. And I'm very, very not only encouraged but proud of the way in which our 2 long-term care homes, managements, even staff seem to have really come together in regard to focusing on alignment in both of the homes. We've got a good way to go yet, but we've really had an excellent start in 2017 for sure. Our second major initiative involves the merging of the paramedic services and the long-term care homes. And in this past quarter, the senior leaders of the homes and paramedic services, we've met together to discuss the goal of having centralized scheduling and an initial quarterly leadership meeting, and that involved all of the leadership teams from paramedic services and the long-term care homes. We met in this quarter, and we're really quite involved and collectively involved in discussing and planning of how we can merge the 2 departments, if you will, yes, under health services, but more importantly, merging the common services that we have, specifically the 24/7 centralized scheduling, as well as some of our service deliveries regarding training and education. That's moving along well, I believe. The third major initiative in the homes is the replacement of the communication systems at Gateway Haven, and this, the projected goal for the completion of that was by the end of 2016. This was not realized at the end of the year, but currently discussions to include Bruce Lee Haven and acquiring the services of a consultant to assist the homes in ensuring that we're able to meet the requirements and goals and procure the right system for actually both homes as well, and meeting the future county-wide communication systems needs. That's well underway, to the point that even this afternoon we're collectively having a meeting with some potential consultants on that. Our fourth major initiative, EFIS, the immediate repairs to Bruce Lee Haven. There's no developments to that yet, but there are some projections for the, I was going to say the early spring. I think that's what we're supposed to be into, but anyway. Our fifth major initiative in the homes has already been related and referred to by Corporate Services, Betty Ann, this morning. Ecosystems have worked diligently with the homes to realize that at this point in the first quarter, we've installed the chillers in each home site, and I just want to say that we've been in the homes very impressed with the work that's been done, and it went very, very smoothly. Smoothly, and in both homes, the chillers were successfully completed with no disruption at all to the service. We hardly knew it was happening, so it was just amazing, well planned, and certainly received. And that's our Q1 update.
Good, thank you, Charlie. Milt?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Charlie, just on your comment on the waiting lists,
Yes.
would you repeat that, please?
Would I?
Would you repeat that?
Yes. I just wanted to highlight again, I think that the number that the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter of 2017, we see we have 76 on our waiting list. That's much higher in comparative to past years at this stage, where we have, I see a real spike in the number of people who are coming on our waiting list. And 2017, I don't know, for whatever reason, it seems like the need is greater, whether we're having people that are moving to the area that's requiring this long-term care service, or we're having more from the hospital setting transferred, what have you, but 76 is a very significant number on that's a huge waiting list for the homes.
But when I go back to 15 and 16 actuals, like the 16 was an average of 70, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 16 was an average of 54.
Yeah, that's at year end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
that was when throughout the Southwest.
That was the average year.
That was the average of the
Yes.
year, as well as that was the 2 years, 2014, 2015. Those 2 years was when the Southwest LHINs, for instance, was very much involved in, how do I say this? They were very much involved in determining if there were going to be any more long-term care beds, for instance, opened in our region. And that was, that showed, as far as I'm concerned, we have a great need in Grey Bruce in 2014, 2015, but already in 2017, we're realizing a wait list that is comparable to those 2 years at the end of the year. Like I'm really going to be watching that number as we progress, because I could see at the end of 2017 that that'd be much higher.
Good, thank you.
Kelly?
Through you,
That's the
Mr.
concern,
Warden, the other part that we don't have pure visibility to, but we're pretty confident it's impacting the number, is the discussions that are currently underway in Grey County with their long-term care in the south, or in our southern, their north, but...
Yeah, the amalgamation of the homes and that, yes. And maybe that's somewhat of an indicator here as well. But I'll be watching that as well. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, comments? David?
Do we have any indication as to where those people on the wait list are coming from? Is it more in one area other than another, or more than another?
Primarily, to date, the vast majority of those 76 are from Grey Bruce. I'm sorry.
Within county, say, do we know whether they're coming from the northern part of Bruce or the shoreline, or do we have?
I really don't know to answer that intelligently, but I do know that the majority are certainly from Bruce County itself. But where in the region, I'm really not sure.
Ann? Oh, sorry.
And do you know how many, in general, come from outside the county? Or is it very few? Sorry.
Yeah, it's a very low percentage at this point. Usually we have about maybe 10% of the overall combined waiting lists for Bruce Lee and Gateway come from outside of, certainly outside of our, of the Southwest LHINs, but 10% usually outside of Grey Bruce counties, for sure.
So our area is defined as Grey Bruce for our county homes. Are you saying?
No. What I'm saying is the applicants themselves, a number of them may live in Grey County but are applying to Bruce County homes.
Okay. So what percentage of the residents or in the homes
Are from Bruce County itself?
are from Bruce County
Oh,
now?
the vast majority, I would say 90%,
90%.
at least.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Janice, then Bob?
Thank you, Warden. So do the Bruce County residents get a priority? Like, do the Grey County residents go to the bottom of the list and is,
Good question. You will all know, and I just bring some clarity, that the waiting list, people who are going on our waiting list, it's all through the CCAC.
right?
And it's not a matter of a priority listing in regard to where you live. It's the need is where you go on the list.
Is there a reduction in maybe home care? Is there, I mean, I'm quite certain that no matter what level you're at, you could always have improvement in what's available to keep people in their homes, which would reduce, I'm sure, this waiting list. Has anything happened on that front? Has there been a reduction in the funding for home care?
Not to my knowledge. I do know that there's a number of major initiatives when it comes to through CCAC with providing direct home care, and certainly when it comes to providing home care as opposed to the residents having to go to a hospital, for instance. But in regard to the long-term care homes, it seems like there is not an increase or a decrease from our perspective
Right.
of the provision of direct home care in their individual homes.
I just have one quick question. On the publicly reported indicators, the potentially inappropriate use of antipsychotics, that I'm wondering where this number comes from. Are these antipsychotics, is it an issue with how they're administered or how they're prescribed?
How they're prescribed.
Really? Interesting. Thank you.
Interesting,
Thank
yes.
you.
Robert?
Janice's first question was exactly what I
Oh,
was going to ask.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. Paramedic services.
I want to just first of all say through you, Mr. Warden, that the last couple of months that I've been involved with paramedic services has been a real education, and I really appreciate my instructors and my mentors in the persons of Chiefs Ray and Chief Steve. It's been really good, and I've really appreciated it. I'm quite excited, actually, with all that's going on in our paramedic services division and health services. To our CAO's comment this morning, we both were in attendance of the exit interview with the review, and our paramedic services delivery, I believe, is in good hands, and we've got a lot to be proud of in Bruce County. To that end, I will try to speak as intelligently as I can on the first quarterly report and update on paramedic services. You will note that in the KPIs and at the end of the first quarter of 2017, that our paramedic services are well within our are well within the benchmarks that have been set and the projections for 2017. When I say well within, I think that they're comfortably within. I shouldn't say well within. And again, unless there's a specific question for me, the indicators and the data speaks for itself. In regard, do we want to ask any questions?
Continue on, I don't see
Okay.
anything.
Continuing on to the major initiatives then, and there's 7 initiatives in the paramedic services, and I'll give you an update on the merging on the paramedic services and long-term care, and I've already basically done that, except I do want to also indicate that in this first quarter of 2017, there's been a great deal of organizing internally in paramedic services in regard to meeting with as a management leadership team, and then merging with long-term care. And paramedic services, I just want to report, they have really bought, and I want to use the word bought into the merge big time, and I'm very, very encouraged that the Health Services Department, I think, is going to evolve as a very solid front. So I thought I should mention that today. I think it is a result, and it will be a further result of having continuous joint meetings, and certainly shared projects, yes, but certainly shared meeting of the minds as to how we can gain efficiencies in the overall department. And I see really good things happening, especially in the first quarter. Paramedic services analysis between Grey and Bruce counties. You will know that that process is complete, and shared training occurred with items related to the new provincial standards that will be implemented this coming December. The vehicle maintenance is to be tendered, and still remains to be tendered, I think. The third major initiative, 2017, the ambulance review, as we've already reported, and the actual reviewed document itself should be completed, and we should receive the same within the next 60 to 90 days. Port Elgin Station, temporary lease renewal and long-term solution. Temporary lease was obtained, and discussion started with planning and social services about the space that's needed. The fifth initiative is regarding to develop a wellness plan, including a PTSD prevention plan, and that plan was completed and to be sent to the Ministry of Labour, and training for the staff is to occur at the end of April on PTSD. The sixth initiative was the replacement of 2 ambulances and 1 ERV. The 2 ambulances are in transit from the manufacturer as of March the 17th, and the ERV is on order. And then the last initiative is to upgrade the power assist stretcher loading system, and once the new vehicles arrive, the loading system will be installed, and training for the staff should happen by the end of April.
Questions, comments? Mike?
Go ahead, question again. Why do we have to, or what's the Ministry of Labour's role in approving our plan, our PTSD?
I would rather the...
Sure. Sorry.
I'm sorry. What is the Ministry?
It's the fifth project there. I just wonder what is it just a policy?
Why is the ministry?
Oh, the Ministry of Labour for post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, what's their role? Do they approve it, or it says in here just for concurrence, I guess? Do they have a template we're following?
Go ahead.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Warden, the Ministry of Labour passed legislation last year at this time, and it's part of the regs that they passed, indicating that they have to see the plan and sign off on all PTSD plans, and that our obligation, as with all service deliverers, was to have it in place for April of 2017.
Thank you.
Ann?
Yes, we just, as I understand it, lower tier municipalities have to have it too. We just passed ours last night for our fire department. Yeah.
Janice?
Thank you. There was going to be a review of the services in and around, especially up in the peninsula area. That's not number 3, is it? Or
No, the number 3 is our annual review.
Is that report here somewhere that I'm?
Not in the update, but.
Through you, Mr. Warden, staff are continuing to complete that work, and the goal is to have a report come before the committee in either May or June. We're probably looking at June. There's a couple of issues that staff have been looking at for the, in particular, the lake shore versus the southern part of the county, and whether or not we make recommendation for change 12 months a year, or does the change need to be just for the summer months?
Okay, and that's coming, I'm sorry, when is that expected to come back?
I believe it will be in June. Our goal was May, but given the service review that occurred, I think we're probably now looking at June. But it is in play.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Charlie.
I thank you all very much. Have a good Easter, everyone.
Thanks, Charlie, you too.
Thank you.
Christine. Yeah, they've definitely been working on it.
Yeah, good.
Because there's maybe a gap in Buckland as well, along Highway 86.
Great.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy to have before you our first business plan Q1 update for social services and housing. Staff have begun to make steady progress toward implementation of activities to meet the goals that we have in the plan for this year, so we're off to a good start. And starting with the KPIs, they are tracking well in the first quarter of the year. I just want to note again that, as you're aware, our legend is below the table there that explains a number of our KPIs are using projections or a combination of actuals and projections. And as well, noting with the capital projects, right now we're reporting on 13 to 19, so that's where we've had a start on those projects. And of course, with capital work, there's usually inevitable time and budget constraints that come up, so we'll continue to report on that if issues arise there throughout the year. Just want to remind everyone too that the number of business days from screening to financial eligibility for Ontario Works was a new KPI that we added in 2016. So this is just the second year of tracking that KPI, and we're starting to see that things are stabilizing in that area. So there was a lot of movement and toward moving that number lower, which is a good thing because that means we're getting service to people sooner. And we can see that that's starting to stabilize, that we're not seeing the speedy changes there now. And that really marks that we've started to recover from the effect that SAM's had in terms of our business practice changes. So I'll just pause there if there was any specific questions on the KPIs as they're reported.
Any questions?
Okay.
None.
Okay, so I'll move into a description of our Q1 updates on each of our initiatives. So with regard to the service delivery hub, staff are continuing to fact find on a few different opportunities that might come up with implementation of service delivery hubs in other major centers across Bruce County, and just keeping an eye on ensuring that we're stabilizing well at the Peninsula Hub, and that the staff groups that are working there as well as community partner opportunities are emerging with that. And so we continue to keep an eye on that, moving that forward. A lot of work has been happening with regard to major initiative number 2, the transformation of the family support programs. The OEY CFC Working Committee and Steering Committee have been overseeing the review of the collated data analysis that took place at the end of 2016 and drafting of the initial needs assessment and plan. And that plan will be presented to committee very shortly in the next couple months before the end of Q2. And then the ministry just actually announced this week that they've extended the deadline, but we're going to continue to move forward. We're at that phase of the work, and it makes sense to progress on to other pieces of the project that we need to look at. So we'll likely have our plan submitted in advance of the deadline. With regard to the, the other part that's happening there that's there's been a lot of work happening is we had received that additional opportunity for a proposal to do some work with Indigenous engagement, and so staff related to Initiative 1 have been working on that as well too, and so we will be reporting back on the information that's coming forward from those engagement sessions that we've had as well too. And moving on to the implementation of the 10-year long-term housing strategy, staff are moving forward more of the actions that were set out in the strategy. And of course, the expression of interest had gone out for the new development in the first quarter of the year. The integrated housing system, we're in a waiting pattern. We're waiting on the group that are developing the system to launch forward, and so we expect that that won't happen until Q4. The Social Infrastructure Fund, the fund committed just shy of what we had allocated to us. And so that was really a good news item that we were able to move quickly, because you'll recall that money was just announced and the agreement was just put in place in September of 2016. But the funds that we'd committed that were still to be spent, we anticipate will all be spent by the end of Q2. The modernization of social assistance, our 6th initiative, is well underway in Q1 as well too. Staff have started training in the new eligibility verification process and moved into new business practices there. And of course, we've done some realignment with our structure, in which the eligibility review officer role and the family support worker role combined into one position because of the changes that were occurring with modernization. And of course, that's allowing us to, within the same headcount, add a supervisor that will round out our structure in income and employment supports. And we are recruiting for that position underway now. And then we move into our various capital works. So I won't go into detail on those, but can take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Christine. Questions, comments? Nope.
I'm kind of going back, I guess, a little bit on your KPIs. The length of time on social assistance, it appears to be increasing.
The length of time on social assistance, yes, it has increased. There's a number of factors that relate to that. For the most part, it's regulatory changes. So although someone may remain on assistance longer, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're receiving the full suite of services. So that will include households that are actually working, that are below particular thresholds, and so they're receiving the benefit of their drugs and other health benefits that would be available to them, but so they may stay on social assistance longer, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's costing us more. So that's that employment piece. Mm-hmm. Yes, and so that that change just happened in 2000 and either the end of 2014, I'd have to check my dates, or in 2015.
Other questions? Thank you, Christine. Museum. Good, how are you?
All right, so good morning, and ready to present the Q1 update for the museum. We'll start off with the KPIs, and in general, most of the KPIs are pretty much in and around where we would expect them to be for Q1. The cost per household item is relatively low at the beginning of the year, and advances picks up as we move through the year. We're tracking still well with our memberships, and that is a number that does fluctuate because membership, again, it doesn't run from January from December, it runs from the date that the individual purchased the membership, so it could be February to February or December to December, so it is always a moving number, but we are seeing steady growth in that area. Doing quite well in regards to the community partners, so council will recall when usually there's a report every month on our business and sponsorship area, and this is the number of community partners that we're referring to. Social engagement, well on track to meet our target for the year and probably surpass it. Social engagement in terms of Facebook is a strong area for us and continues to be. Total number of visitors seems low, obviously, but that's quite typical for first quarter. And while there might not be a high number of visitors, there's definitely a lot of activity that is still happening in regards to planning and getting ready for our typical busy season. Our number of staff completion for the Loyalist program, this number, we will not achieve our target, and the reason behind that is the individual who was taking the training has left the organization. So unfortunately, that will be an area that is out of our control in terms of reaching the target for that. In regards to the major initiatives, we have 6 major initiatives. The first is, of course, getting ready for our busy season with our traveling exhibit, Toys, The Inside Story. So we are well on track and on schedule for delivery of the exhibition. Payment schedules are all in place and ready to open the exhibit in just a few short weeks on May 18th. Our revised tourism strategy piece, if council will recall that this report was presented at the March 2nd meeting, and we are currently in progress and working towards building a plan to build in the cultural action plan as part of the 2018 budget process. In regards to the feasibility study, council will recall that that was completed and it was presented at the March 2nd meeting, and just as recent as the last committee meeting, we are moving forward with the next piece, which is basically in regards to the financial feasibility piece, and that ties into the goal number 4 as well from our fundraising perspective and fundraising goals. And goal number 5 in regards to the 150th project, that is the Last Frontier exhibition, which is one of the last areas of the permanent exhibit gallery. So construction, will tear down construction, have started. We're well underway to meet our target of June 14th opening, and we are on schedule and within budget for that opening as well. The other 2 exhibitions that we're working on are the First Nations one for 2018 as well as the train exhibition. So in regards to our First Nations exhibition, research work has started, construction in terms of dioramas has started, artifact selection has taken place. We had the first community consultation with both members from Saugeen and Nawash, and we're continuing to look at dates for further consultation for this piece. So we are, again, well within our timing for that and within our budget parameters for that. And as same with our train exhibition, work is in progress, and we are scheduled to continue to have everything met as we had planned. Sorry, the 7th goal, which I had forgotten about, but is in regards to our integrated energy performance, and the project that the museum has not started as of yet, but we have an expected project timeline to start in September of 2017 for completion of 2018. And I would be happy to answer any questions in regards to the museum Q1 report.
Thank you, Kathy. Questions? With any of the integrated energy performances, will we be getting numbers like on a quarterly basis or at the semi-annual, or what will we be getting?
Yeah. Through you to you, Mr. Warden, there will be regular updates occur, at least on a quarterly basis, and it'll be very interesting with the chillers being replaced in the 2 homes so early in the year. We should have a very good measurement for that initiative.
Good. Other comments, questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Kathy. Library. Good morning.
Good morning. So we'll start with the library's KPIs. All of our KPIs are tracking well, and nothing to note. The only trend that I've noted is that some of our online database use and our online resource circulation is higher than expected. So of course we'll look at that as the year progresses. Things fluctuate throughout the year. For our major initiatives, we have 4. The strategic plan check-in, as of Q1, work is just beginning on the check-in with the public, so no significant staff time used at this time. Bookmobile Phase 1, this is the research phase of the Bookmobile project, and work is just beginning on that. Outreach is ongoing throughout the year. So as of the end of February, 42 outreach events have taken place, reaching 995 people, and early literacy stations will be purchased later in the year. That's my update.
Comments, questions? Do you just want to talk briefly about the accreditation process and where we're at with the library?
So accreditation is booked for June, and that is when the audit will take place. So throughout 2016, we worked to prepare the library for a system audit, looking at all of our policies and procedures, as well as branch audits. So branches will be audited as well in June. That is when we have it booked.
Okay. For information. Any other comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris. Do you have to go? Go ahead. Yes. Yeah.
Just a second here. I just have to bring it up in another spot here.
We're on schedule. Yeah, we have time for a little bit of a break.
Version or the PDF?
Yeah, it was the Word. I thought it was the Word that I brought up, but it's really.
Word.
Yeah.
But it's really, I don't know what this is.
Just as long as you can't see the comments in the comments section.
Yeah, and that was the problem. Yes, somehow or other they didn't delete out, so.
I'll slide the screen over. Thank you, Warden Tulin and Council. So I'll begin by taking a very quick look at the KPIs and give you an idea of anything's changed or to be concerned about. For some reason, the screen slipped on me. Here we go. The first, starting from the top, the first KPIs are related to the work being done by the newly formed Corporate Policy Division.
Just click the Say
Say
This.
this.
And then you can reduce it, I think.
No.
Just say yes.
Just say yes. Let's use the slider bar. There we go. So going back to the corporate policy, and some of you are aware of some of the work that we've been doing through the executive committee in conjunction with other departments, trying to make ourselves useful in some of the work that they need to get done at a broader level in terms of new policy and policy development. As part of that, we're also developing a new communication plan and strategy, and so we have Eleanor McEwen out doing consultation with the departments in terms of what that means, how they communicate now with the public, the media, and so on. What would they like to see change, and how can we approach that in a more holistic fashion from the corporate perspective? A number of the reports that you'll see there listed in terms of the numbers, reports regarding implications of municipal act amendments, changes to long-term care policies, the community grants, tourism impact methodology we're working on, the brand project, of course, and we've been doing some interesting work in and around the new census numbers and their existing software, being able to produce some reports such as implications for school boards, and additionally branching out and working with highways in terms of their signs and signage inventory. A brief mention, because the CAO was discussing RBA, which was results-based accountability. And this concept was from a fellow named Mark Friedman. It's been used by and adapted by a lot of the municipal governments now, and it's sort of a different approach to looking at KPIs, and it tries to measure what we do, describe how much of it we do, and is anybody better off, and it splits it out into client-based KPIs and population-based KPIs. So at this point, myself and some other staff have been reading up on the literature. We've undertaken some webinars associated with that, and currently working through a 1-month free trial on the software to see if this is potentially a solution for future KPIs and the approach to KPIs and reporting. And so we'll report back on that at a later date.
In terms of the land use planning side, from an application perspective, it continues to be a busy year. We've been able to branch out and participate and partner with a nuclear specialist in terms of some workshops that we've been holding. Currently, Stellina Williams working, I would say, hand in hand with Bruce Stickney, our manager of land use planning, to ensure we don't have any slips in communications and so on, and also able to provide some project teams by municipality. We've started working on that. Some of those were announced at the nuclear session in Kincardine, and we continue to work with some of the other municipalities to put those together as well. In terms of the economic development side, and those are the KPIs down towards the bottom, we talked a bit about the website, the Explore the Bruce website in terms of how that's changed in the pilot project, and of course happy to report back at a future date. Not much to report regarding Spruce the Bruce, as again it's early to be reporting back in terms of the grant stream for 2017, and similarly forestry and trail development somewhat dormant over the winter months in terms of new development. So pretty quick rundown. Other than under community landowner proponent consultation, there is a mistake. The KPI should be 11.9% under 2017 as opposed to 1.9%. So moving down then in terms of, I'll just hit on the summary then. The summarizes the major initiatives and give a rundown in terms of where we're at if I haven't covered it off. So corporate policy, those are the top three ones that we've been working on. The branding strategy, lots of awareness with that with council, so we won't go into too much details other than currently working in terms of what the web presence will mean for that, and integrating the brand messaging into the communication strategy. So we have Eleanor McEwen working on the big picture in terms of how this works from a process and procedure perspective, and trying to incorporate some of the new branding and messaging into that overall plan or strategy. So that's moving along quite well. Mentioned corporate communications. Our specialist is now in place, and again, out broadly consulting with the different divisions in terms of what types of messaging they need in terms of the public, elected officials, and media. Corporate file management, our role in that has been pretty much limited to, we have one person who's pleased to be sitting on the partnership group, looking in terms of how that should move forward, with IT taking the lead on that project. When we develop the strategy, and this is moving into economic development, when we develop the strategy, we recognize that there's some missing pieces in terms of details. And it was around this idea of energy sector assessment in terms of what that means and how to move that forward over the long term. For the broader energy sector, of course, nuclear side of it, and also agriculture. And those are projects that have been assigned for 2017. And all three of those are ongoing and on target, and we're doing the background work to report back further in upcoming council sessions. In terms of sector development for tours in the sector, Explore the Bruce and so on, the sub-brand guide has been completed. The pilot with Explore the Bruce is up and running. That website has been initiated and the transition is underway. Spruce the Bruce program was revamped in 2016. New guidelines were introduced to council either late 2016 or early 2017. And so that will be launched, I guess, was launched on March 1st. The business development, Bruce to Bruce phase one. This was we did the two pilot projects back, and I think it was 2015 with Kincardine and Wyerton. And so we're moving along with getting the rest of those municipalities on board and moving together through the REG grant application process, which has been submitted and ongoing to complete that project. In terms of the planning side, I won't go into a lot of detail. I will say we've had a couple of delays, and we will experience a couple of delays just in terms of juggling projects. And it's because of the fact that we've had some planners in key positions who've moved on. One with a maternity leave, and the maternity leave position has moved on as well. So we're currently expect the planner for the interior area to be back sometime in early summer, and we're currently recruiting for a planner in the Lakeshore as that person has moved on to a different job as well. So in terms of Kincardine official plan review, looking at that as a major project, I think we should not jump into that until we're fully staffed. Additionally, with regard to Aaron Elderslie, on hold just simply temporarily as we have a brand new planner in the Wyerton office, or the northern hub where we're trying to get up to speed as well. So some of the major commitments we made in terms of northern Bruce Peninsula for their zoning update and so on is still ongoing. Of course, looking at the county plan update is ongoing as well. And then working with council in terms of this, conceptually, the lens, the Bruce County lens, and how that applies to policy, how it applies to procedures and operations in the countryside, and looking at potentially making some changes or shifting some gears as a result of those discussions coming up in 2017 as well.
Thanks, Chris. Questions, comments? Ann?
Sorry, Chris, maybe I missed it. So you can't start the Kincardine official plan for a month or two yet, or?
Yes, the initial plan was that our senior planner would jump in and do the majority of the work, the background work and so on. And what we have now is basically that person backfilling applications and so on until we get a new person up to speed. And if that new planner doesn't have any experience as being a planner in Bruce County, particularly, it'll be some number of months away. I did ask our senior planner to discuss with your planning coordinator some options in terms of having a planner sit on the steering committee or devising a terms of reference. So if you wanted to start out sooner and have a consultant start to begin to prepare the issues report and background work and so on, we'd be able to participate in that process as part of the broader project team, as opposed to actually undertaking the work. So we have had some discussions with Michelle as to whether that would help move it along a bit quicker than what we would be able to do with that.
The public, I just wanted to know, the public meetings associated with the official plan, we'll try to time them for our seasonal residents. And so do you think that's possible, or?
I wouldn't like to commit. I would ask, as a result of this, I'll ask Bruce to sit down, or manager of land use planning to sit down with Michelle and see how that would affect the schedule, if at all, and figure out a way to help to move it forward for the summer if your intention was to hold the public meetings in the summer. And then we'll report back to your council.
Okay, thanks.
Paul?
Just an observation that I'm sure you picked up on when we excuse me, get a new planner, we assign them to the Aaron Ellerslie file. And I suppose you could read two things into that Aaron Ellerslie is so darned easy to get along with that we want to start them off easy, or if you can survive Aaron Ellerslie for 6 months, you can survive anybody.
Well, it's the former when we start, and then after a number of months, it's the latter. But normally what would happen in that situation is that the senior planner is familiar with that area and would do most of the work with council, with the planner providing support when they're not running the applications. It's just that right now, literally when you start a new person, you have two people working on the same file for a number of months until they're up to speed. Again, I will have discussion with the land use manager, being Bruce, and come up with some report back to Peggy in terms of dates and when we can potentially complete that.
Other comments or questions? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
So I would suggest in having a little break right now. Are EMS ready for their presentation?
Through you, Mr. Warden, know that they will now be coming at noon.
At noon?
At noon. So we could adjourn from executive and then resume the planning and development, and then break at lunch and have the tour of the ambulance and the power assist. So that's agreeable? Yeah?
Perfect.
So if I can, just before the group adjourn, I would like to thank the members of the senior management team for the first quarter of 2017. Everything is looking good as Director LaForce had articulated. There's a few issues with his team, and in terms of we have a number of parental leaves that are happening. I think it was in 2013, we had a similar incident with the museum where we had multiple parental leaves taking place at the same time. Secondarily, I do want to just apologize to committee that we did have a miss on the agenda, that we will be pulling it off of the website and reposting because there are some comments that are on the planning and development file that should have been hidden and got missed. So that the little bit of a hubbub was the cause of it.
So you want to exit out of executive and then go into planning as the next committee? Okay. All right, motion to adjourn. Milt, seconded by Ann. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you.